Welcome to the channel. I am Ladewaybac, and today, to finish off my week with Leo Whitefang, I'm going to show you what I've learned and how to win with this character. Leo can double jump, has a quick backdash, can air dash, but his forward movement, his forward dash is just a little step there. It's not like great like Giovanna's, it's kind of slow compared to hers. But so, he doesn't have the best mobility, but he does make up for it by going into his back stance, which is something we should be looking for often. Now first we're going to go over our standing punch and our crouching punches. You hit multiple times like most punches, and also can be cancelled into forward punch and then special attack if you want to do that, or even go into stance afterwards. And also it's pretty effective as an anti-air. Has a nice little hitbox there. And then you can immediately get stance off of it if you do hit that when they're jumping at you. Next up we have kick. Now for our other normals like our standing heavy and standing slash, they have the range but they're slow, and the crouching slash has the speed but not the range. So what we do to mitigate that is to use our kick. Now I have Kai doing a punch here, so if we use our kick into the forward kick, if they try to hit any kind of button, we're going to get a counter off that, and that's going to make for an easy stance for us. Now, let's say that they're blocking here. We could also use it as a tick throw. So the opponent's going to have to think of like what you're going to do. Like, are you going to follow up with a kick and then go to stance, or just do that and go to stance, or just, knee and then grab? They won't know, so be sure to mix that up, get your counters, go get your stance, just regularly confuse your opponent. Now low kick can cancel into the same things that our standing kick can cancel into. So normally, like with most characters, you're probably going to be looking for your sweep after you do the low kick. So what you can do, we have our Kai standing up and then doing a jab after he gets knocked down. So what you can do is go to stance and then hit him with the kick first. And that's as quick as it gets. The timing can be a little off sometimes. Like, you have to get the timing down. Alright, I'm waiting for him to ruin my timing. So just like that. So if like you can't get the timing down after that, what you can do is just do a parry right afterwards, just in case. Now if your opponent is getting up and grabbing you, where's the arrow? Oh, there we go. So we go in a stance, we try to attack, can't attack, we'll get grabbed, right? So if he's looking for the grab, just dash forward, and then you can combo right afterwards. Now just how we get the counter when we do our kick, if our opponent hits a button, like right now we have him doing a low kick, the same thing happens if we do our sweep afterwards, right? And the cool thing you can do after that is do a close slash and then use what's it called, turbulence, which will put you into the stance and give you a hard knockdown. Now you can like switch sides on him, be confusing. Now your opponent is going to have to think of blocking high or low on either side, and that can be very confusing. So normally you do want to go for the hard knockdown while in stance and have them guessing. Now last thing we can do with sweep, if you want to maintain your pressure when you're attacking your opponent and you don't want him to give him his turn, what you can do is just do a DP afterwards. So if it hits, look for your counter or the knockdown and go to the stance. But if it's blocked, just do your DP and maintain your pressure. Next we have our crouching heavy. Now it's not really good to use unless you're using it for a combo extender or for anti-air. So here's a ground combo you can use with it. Or just get the heavy, the hard knockdown. Now here's another, here's the anti-air version. And and that's just if you want damage. But for just as good damage and the setup, this is what you do. Oh, give me a sec. Now they have to deal with all that. Next, I want to go over our standing heavy and standing slash. Now, they can chain together, so you can just keep hitting them one after the other. And normally you want to finish with a slash version of Gestober, I believe it's called, or Gestober. And either button can be held to go into like a guard stance, and then you hit the opposing button. So that if you're holding slash, you hit heavy slash, or if you're holding heavy slash, you hit slash, and that'll put you. Then if you do, after you do that, you do the heavy Gestober afterwards, and they'll put you in a stance. But it does vary. Like if you're far away, it will just be like a regular combo. But if you are close, then you will go into stance afterwards. Now you just don't want to keep using slash and heavy slash back to back. You can also switch it up. You can add in a low slash or a forward heavy. So you can do stuff like this and keep your opponent guessing, and just keep mixing it up until your opponent makes a mistake, and then you capitalize on it by using a Gestober, which is this right here. Also keep in mind that these chains can be cancelled into any special move, so it doesn't have to be Gestober. So be sure to mix it up and always keep your opponent guessing. Keep in mind when using the heavy version of Gestober, when you're trying to go into your stance, like usually you'll be doing some chains and then try to go behind them afterwards. But beware that your opponent can grab you right afterwards. So if you hit anything and try to go into stance afterwards, and if they're ready for it, then you get grabbed. Now, hold on, let me take this off. I do suggest, if you're trying to go off, if you're trying to hit your opponent and then go into stance afterwards, I do suggest just doing it right after a very quick attack. So like the kick attack, that's my favorite to do it off of, because they have to think about getting grabbed or doing the forward kick afterwards, or you just go into stance. So it's kind of like rock, paper, scissors. So if you're gonna go into stance, I recommend doing that, or even something like just a low slash and going after that. But once you hit 2 hits, then you're getting into dangerous territory and they might be thinking to grab, so just keep that in mind. And before I move on, I probably should have said this earlier, but this is very important. When you're doing Leo's normals, at least when you're starting them out, you want to do a dash first, like kind of like when you do with Giovanna. So let's say I do a back step, I do my kick, it takes three times for me to get next to my opponent and to connect, right? Let me do the back step again, you do 1 dash, and you make it the whole way. And look at the range of the forward kick. It goes really far. So for all your normals, just do a dash first. Next we have our jumping normals. Now the jump light punch, it's jump punch. You can hit multiple times in the air. So like if you're if you see your opponent jump before you and you're thinking of doing an air to air, that's the quickest option you have. Next up is jumping slash. Jumping slash hits 2 times, and it can be canceled into heavy, either on the first hit or after the second hit. But I say its best use is for a pretty big damage combo that you can do if you land the air to air with it. So you're gonna have to hit it twice and then dash towards them and then do it again. And if they're closer towards the corner, then you want to just do a little dash and then do your down slash afterwards, so you can start bouncing them off the wall. Now it's much easier to do when you're closer towards the wall, so let's get him to jump out a little bit. So then you can just do your close slash and then the low slash and then the heavy slash afterwards, and then you can get your chain going. So if they're closer to the wall, it's easier to do. But if you're mid-screen, then your best option is to do a short dash and then do the crouching slash afterwards to get the combo started. Next, we have our jumping heavy slash and our jumping kick. Now, jumping heavy slash has a lot of distance to it, so it's like almost full screen if we're doing a dash attack. So like I just step up a little further and I can already hit. I'm already in hitting range, even though I didn't hit just then. And you know, it's very good at what it does. It has a lot of range, good damage, good hit stun. But the biggest problem with it is like if your opponent's crouching, you're more than likely gonna miss them. So I would say your best jumping attack, like at least your most consistent one, would be your jumping kick, as you can easily hit a crouching opponent, and you're guaranteed to hit them regardless of if they're crouching or not. As in with the jumping heavy, it's not always guaranteed. Now onto special attacks. First we'll go over the projectile. Now the slash version is very fast and easily spammable. I say easily spammable, there we go. So you can just keep doing it time after time. Just be wary of how you slide your thumb, because you know you might go into the Gestober instead. Now be sure to note that it beats all projectiles, like everything. Next we have the heavy projectile. Now it moves very slow, but it does hit multiple times, and you know, as it creeps on your opponent, it is a good way, a good pressure tool, and a good way to bait them into jumping. So it'll also beat Kai's heavy version of his. So also a cool thing you can do is you can Roman cancel it and just kind of use it as a shield of some sorts, you know? Even go to the opposite side, get your combo off like that. Or let's say your opponent's gonna jump. Well, let's do a better jump than that. Alright. And then you just air grab them, you know? So put the pressure on your opponent with that. Like if you really have a hard time getting onto your opponent, this is a good way to do it. Next we have our DP. It is invulnerable to attacks on wake up, and you can get grabbed out of it. So if your opponent suspects you're gonna do a DP, he can grab you, so be wary of that. Now with the slash version, you can get a good stance off of that. So if your opponent is not ready to grab you or stop you, or if he's staying in the same spot, it's in perfect range to go right behind him. So keep that in mind. And also, like, remember how the sweep and we have the setup like this? It's the same thing with the heavy version. And we can get right behind him because he's in a perfect spot for that. Now let me show you a combo that you can do if you Roman cancel your heavy DP. I'm so bad at doing the DP. So just like our previous combo, when we do the air to airs with the slash, it's just like that, except we're starting with the DP and then doing our dust attack. So you get the idea. Next we have our quarter circle back slash, which is, how do you say this word? Turbolaze? Now I find it most effective for putting your opponent in a hard knockdown state. So then you can keep having them play a guessing game, so they never know what side you're coming from. And also it's the only move we can just outright do and go into our stance. So if your opponent's giving you the opportunity and you feel that you could win by just going into your stance off rip, then, you know, just go into your stance. And, you know, block projectiles correctly. And also, no, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but you can't block in this stance. So keep that in mind. You can't block or jump. And lastly, we have our Gestober. Our slash version is what we use to end our combo strings, and the heavy version is what we mainly use to go into stance, which is the perfect transition to start talking about the stance. the back stance. So first in our stance, we'll talk about the punch. Now this comes out very fast and it has a lot of hit stun. So much hit stun that you can hit it twice. And also, you can chain everything together, starting with the punch. And it also has upper body invulnerability. And go back and do it all over again. Next we have kick. Now in the patch they changed it so you can kick and side switch, so keep that in mind, which is going to be hard for a lot of people to deal with. And also it's your fastest starting move in your stance, and you can chain everything together to do the combo, but mostly you can just do the kick into the slash and then overhead after that, and then do your easy combos like slash again, overhead, finish with guest over, and simple stuff like that. Next we have our slash out the stance. Now it's very fast and it has a big hitbox and a small hurt box. So like if anybody hits part of that stuff that's coming and then burning away, if anybody hits that part, it won't hurt you at all. So basically big hitbox, low hurt box. So throw this out if you have the range for it. Now there's also a long hit stun long enough for you to do your overhead afterwards, which is your heavy slash, and then you can chain it together to do it twice. And so the basic combo would be slash heavy slash, heavy slash, then guest over. Or you could even do the heavy version of guest over. Next we have our heavy slash out of the back stance. Now this is an overhead, so it cannot be blocked low, and you can do a pretty basic combo from it. But what I suggest you do after you land your heavy slash is to break out of the stance afterwards. So that would be down down. So as soon as you hit the button, you hit down down, so that it happens immediately afterwards. And then run and do it again. Well, not do it again, but do your quarter circle back slash. So it would look like this. Heavy slash, and then you hit down down, come out of the stance, then dash up, do the low slash, and then quarter circle back slash again. So let's put it all into play. Now you got the hard knockdown, and then you can do all sorts of stuff from there, because now they have to block from 4 different angles. Now another good reason for you to do that is, let's say you're in the corner, right? You can do that combo from there. So you get the wall splat, throw them through the wall, and you don't even have to use any meter. So let me show you that again. Or even if you get the dash off. Hold on. You can even do the headbutt version. And that's your heavy slash. Next we have our command throw, which is quarter circle back kick, which gives a nice chunk of damage, and it can be Roman cancelled. So if you just need that extra bit to finish off your opponent, you just Roman cancel into it. And do your stuff. Now how I like to go for the grab is I do the kick first and then I cancel into it. Now you can also do it with the slash too, and that works equally as well. And if your opponent's used to that, you can just like time their wake up and just do it raw. But like, keep in mind that you can't do that off the, if you hit the heavy slash, obviously you'll miss because they're bouncing. But also remember, even with the punch, it won't go through because that hit stun is like super long. So keep that in mind. And lastly, we have our quarter circle back heavy slash, which I believe is called Blitzschlag. Now, this attack does a lot of chip damage, kind of like how Gold Lewis's all his special moves do that kind of chip and give you that block stun there. So if you hold the button, you can stay in the stance, and then you can, mix up your opponent right afterwards. But it's slow startup, so you can't get like jabbed or slashed out of it. But you can throw it in there just for your mix-ups. So Remember all your shenanigans, or you can even do the side switch like that. And you know, just throw that in there. Side switch. You know, always mix it up. No, don't stay on the same routine so that your opponent gets used to it. Just be sure to mix it up all the time, and just always have them guessing. And the more you frustrate them, the more stuff that you'll land. I almost forgot to mention the parry. Now the parry is very quick to come out. So if you're sense you're about to get attacked, it'll just happen instantly as soon as you hit the button, and it blocks everything except for burst and grabs. So even low attacks you can parry. Now if you use a parry and they're far away, they'll just kind of bounce off of it, but if you're close, you'll get a hit off of them. And you can cancel it into your overdrive. So you can get a lot of damage off of a good prediction. So remember, you can't block in that stance, so you want to be sure to time your parries. So if you're fighting like this in your stance and you're trying to get into your opponent, just be wary that you have to get in on them and be ready for what they do, because you can't block. And our other overdrive, our heavy slash version, it's nothing special. You could use it on wake up. So like if your opponent's grabbing you because they're suspecting you of doing DPs and grabbing you out of your DPs, you can always just do this overdrive. It hits multiple times, and you know, you could throw your opponent through the wall, but other than that, it's just something safe to do on wake up. Alright, lastly, we are going to go over our Roman cancel combos. So I'll go over the one that I showed earlier off the DP. Be sure to keep that one in mind, because you will be using your DP a lot, and if you land a heavy one on them, then you can get a lot of damage if you're close to the corner. So keep it in mind. Next, I'll show you my mid-screen combo that I use. The one that I use when I intend on putting them through the wall. So basically the startup doesn't matter, because as long as you're ending with Gestober, which is this, then the startup doesn't really matter. Which I did not end with there. And this quarter circle back slash, and then the slash and heavy slash afterwards. So easy enough combo. Has a lot of wall carry. So be sure to do the forward Roman cancel too, just so you get more distance closer to the wall if this is what you plan on doing. Easy enough combo to push them to the wall. And lastly, my combo for if I'm not gonna put them through the wall, and because you know they're like my back is to the wall or some type of situation like that, then I'll just go for the hard knockdown. So start it wherever, crouching heavy slash, and then the quarter circle back slash, and then you know we can just keep doing it. So yeah, hard knockdowns are very powerful on Leo, so always remember that. And next we have our corner combo, which they're all pretty much done the same. Like if you get your some type of knockdown, and then here let me just show you. Like the slash, headbutt, down. You know, you just all do it the same way. Any kind of Roman cancel, easy. Or even the sweep. And if you want the bigger damage, you could always do your quarter circle back slash and then go into your blitz move, and to put them through the wall. But yeah, for corner combos, that's what you're basically looking for. And lastly, I'm not sure if I mentioned this already, but after you grab, you go into the stance. So that's a cool way of going into the stance. But really, I really want to focus on the point that hard knockdowns are very important for Leo, and getting your best situations, because like sure, if you're just in your stance, you can go low or high, and that's on one spectrum, right? But if you have you can be on either side, then that's like 4 quadrants that they have to block. Alright? So just keep that in mind, and that's why we always go for the hard knockdown. Unless they're close to the wall and we can bounce them off like that. So overhead, hard knockdown. And then close to the wall, we just do the combo instead. Alright, just want to get that clear. So I just want, if you learned anything from the guide, that's what I want you to know. And that is my guide to Leo Whitefang. Leave a like if this video has helped you in any way, and subscribe for daily fighting game content. Thanks for watching.